Hi friends, in Planet Earth Dating, it's Tuesday, October 20th, 2015. Ra here in the Lynn-Body-Mind, Black Wolf in the Jamie-Body-Mind, other teammates in other aspects of the physical dimension, all of us in the physical dimension and all of us in the subatomic from the perspective of the spirit world viewers. So far today, our work has centered on themes of sustainability. It's possible that theme will continue throughout the videoed portion of the effort, but we're not going to pull on this session. We're going to use the foundational background instruction, which is to do what is ours to do right now in all dimensions to manifest the divine plan, in other words, to trigger the awakening. The data very clearly showing what's needed is to provide a collective restart right now. And with that, it begins.
Seeing what looks like a directional drill, an oil rig.
I see that too.
Big oil rig. And this puts me in mind of work that was coming up on our run this morning with Frontier, who is the smallest subatomic layer within the Search for Truth pillar in the physical dimension, where we were asking to be shown even smaller levels of the subatomic, even deeper levels of the physical dimension.
Yes.
And starting to see that oil rig.
Yes. And the idea of drilling down.
That's true.
Now, what do I know? I know that there are many layers of physical dimension presence where there's no opening whatsoever for higher dimension soul presence.
That's true.
And it feels kind of like drilling through rock.
Yes, that's true.
We know from the physical presences that we're already affiliated with how challenging it is to feel cut off from divine support, cut off from the flow of that which is truthful and that which is true love. And of course, there are other challenges as well. Once we become aware of what's actually going on in the spirit world, we see that, well, there's still an awful lot of improvement needed here too.
That's true.
We know that there are souls trapped in the physical without higher dimension support.
That's true.
And we know that it's a real bummer to be one of those souls. So if there is somebody who's ready to wake up that we can reach down to with a drill, it would be a kindness to drill down to that dimension, to that presence.
And calling to Pete the Protista, who we've been referring to as the end of the line outpost, and to Anemone, who we've been referring to as below the end of the line outpost.
And to Frontier.
Frontier, that's true.
To say, come on, let's dig down to someone smaller. Let's dig down to someone smaller. And now, once we open that portal, then it's important for us to give this presence enough support that they can get to the stage that they themselves can run their own cables.
That's true.
And begin to create clearing for themselves. Otherwise, it might feel like a mean trick.
That's true.
So who on this team would be willing to commit to some kind of sustainable effort for a period of time until that presence can start to run cables himself or herself? And now Angela, who we've been referring to as the transport portal, has something to say. She's saying, it's harder than I thought it was going to be. I had committed to running cables for an hour, and I found that I was unable to do it.
That's true.
And so to be really sure that we're working with small enough cables to be able to keep it going. And that's a good point.
That's a good point.
But if we're working on behalf of the subatomic level, it should be small.
That's true.
It should be possible for us. When we are clearing a pillar of which we are a member, then we benefit too. All the community benefits, we share in the benefit.
That's true.
Right? We are a member of this community of pillar. So it is a win-win proposition, but Angela's point is well taken. Don't bite off more than we're able to sustain. So, show of hands, is anyone willing to commit for a week?
I don't think so. A day. Pete says a day.
A day.
Yeah.
Well, so let's just conduct an inquiry that may or may not be helpful. I don't actually know. Pete, how would you feel if someone showed up and helped you for a day and you didn't see them again?
Well, not good. That's happened before.
Right. Isn't that what Pan did?
Yeah.
And it bummed you out.
Yeah.
Right?
That was a big bummer.
It was a big bummer. Now the shoe's on the other foot, right?
That's true.
And we start to see, interesting. It looks like a big commitment, and you're not ready to commit. You say, well, let me try it and see. I don't know. I've got other things on my plate. What if this is too much? And so you're willing to try it for a day, but without making the long-term commitment.
That's true.
Does this give you any epiphanies with regard to Pan, for example?
Yeah.
Talk it out.
That maybe he was trying to do the work at my level for a short period of time to see if it was something that he could sustainably do, and he found that he couldn't or wasn't ready to.
While doing all the other things already on his plate that he had already committed to.
That's true.
Right?
That's true.
And you see how it is for you, right?
Yeah.
Well, you've already got things on your plate
Right.
that you've already committed to, and you're trying to live at greater and greater levels of integrity, so your stated values are equal to your real values, and you're living in accordance with them. So thought, word and deed are all coherent and of integrity, right?
That's true.
It's a challenge.
And sometimes things just don't fit on the plate with everything else.
No. And we know that the overall assignment for the Search for Truth pillar is to develop integrity enough to actually manifest the divine plan. And this is a level of integrity that isn't yet in existence, possibly any place else, kind of by definition. If there were enough integrity somewhere to manifest the divine plan, it would have manifested
by
right?
now. That's true.
We need to reach for higher standards of integrity, more coherence with our stated values, more coherence between our stated values and our real values.
That's true.
Thought, word, and deed all coherent.
That's true.
May I be of service right now to provide a collective restart right now. Yes, and we remember that we all have soul plans, which are already sacred vows to Source.
That's true.
Now, we also look for the intersection of interests. Another message on the run was how we can do things that are compatible. We can have multiple actions going on at the same time if they're compatible.
That's true.
It doesn't work to check email and have a phone conversation at the same time, because neither the email nor the phone conversation is given appropriate levels of attention.
That's true.
But we can manage to have a phone conversation while we digest.
That's true.
Or answer email while we breathe.
Yes.
Obviously, some actions are compatible.
That's true.
And how in dancing, the arms and legs can be doing different things, and it all still works if we are able to practice enough times.
That's true.
And in piano, the left hand and right hand are doing different things, and that's okay. And the feet are also working the pedals, and it all works.
That's true.
With enough practice.
Practice.
So, Pete, how are you feeling right now?
I feel like I am not as helpful to Frontier as I would like to be.
Go on.
I feel like I'm not doing what I'm supposed to be doing to help Frontier. And I'm doing something, and that something is helpful, but it doesn't actually feel like what I'm doing is the most helpful I can be.
Yes.
And so I feel icky about that.
So now, what might be the next logical step for Frontier?
To reach down to the level smaller than him.
Turn around and help someone.
That's true.
Right? And are you willing to help Frontier help whoever might be waiting to be drilled down to?
Yes, I'm willing to do that.
For how long? Until Frontier is able to do it on his own?
Yes, until Frontier is able to do it on his own, I can confidently say I can do that.
and to check in after the end of the day and do it with him to help him get started again, because you know how we forget things.
That's true.
We think
Space
we're
out.
sweeping and suddenly we realize we're leaning on the broom.
That's true.
It happens, right?
That's true.
It happens to you, it happens to me, it happens to all of us. It's going to happen to Frontier.
That's true.
Would you be willing to be there for an extended period of time in that capacity, in a supporting role?
Yeah, absolutely.
We know how Pete feels.
That's true.
How does Frontier feel?
Better now than at the beginning of the session. But still kind of confused, like I've been drilling for a long time and I still don't see anybody or feel anybody. When I started drilling, I was aware that I wasn't going to run into somebody right away, but now I'm starting to wonder if I'm even heading in the right direction.
Are your eyes up? Are you looking up and asking to be shown where to drill, or are you attempting to look down and discern directly?
Probably looking down.
Probably looking down. It's a paradox that we can actually see better when we look up and ask to be shown what's going on beneath us. When we look directly at anything, we see the mask, the projection, or the shield.
That's true.
When we look up and ask to be shown what's really going on, we are shown what's really going on. And this is the search for truth pillar. So that question, what's really going on right now, both inside of me and around me, is the question that we ask over and over again.
That's true.
And the attitude of curiosity and an attitude of experimentation go an awful long way in getting us through this next question.
That's true.
So Frontier, when you look up and ask to be shown, let's do it now. Let's all of us look up and ask to be shown. What's going on in the subatomic layers smaller than you? Ooh. See if we can see a hand waving. Is there anyone down there who wants to search for truth, who wants to learn how to live the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help me God? There may not be anybody. You see, there may not be anyone within our reach right now, given what we're ready, willing, and able to do.
There might be a hand waving.
I believe there is a hand. Now, how about just drill for that hand, for that person, for that presence, for that sentient life form?
Yes.
It's important to reach from an inconvenient truth to living in integrity with what the inconvenient truths show us.
That's true.
So we have an inconvenient truth here that everything is falling apart, both in the physical in a very slow and painful way, and in the non-physical in a much faster but still painful way.
That's true.
And we have the assignment to minimize the suffering, to manifest the divine plan faster rather than slower.
That's true.
So what we need are the steps that will take us from an inconvenient truth, an inconvenient reality, to what it means to be a person with enough integrity to manifest the divine plan.
That's true.
These steps may not be complete, but we know that the process includes them.
That's true.
To become curious about what we just saw. What did that just mean? What's really going on there?
That's true.
To develop an attitude of experimentation, start to try to test it and see what's actually going on. To choose to use the events of life for motivation and not as an excuse.
That's true.
To not worry about what we can't do, but to do what we can do. To take actions, hopefully more and more of them, more and more, until we're ready to commit to actually resolving the inconvenient reality that we have stumbled upon.
That's true.
And then to take actions until we have accomplished the assignment. And that's what it means to be a person with enough integrity to actually manifest the divine plan.
That's true.
The only way to fail is actually to quit.
That's true.
If we just keep going, doing what we can do, being curious about else we can do, what more can I do, what more can I do, we will get there. The problem is so much bigger than we thought. Over and over again, that's been coming up. This problem is bigger than we thought, bigger than we thought, bigger than we thought.
That's true.
We aren't living sustainably on any level. We're not living sustainably in the physical dimensions.
No, not in the spirit world.
Not in the spirit world, not in the nature realms. We're not living sustainably.
That's true.
I think it's also possible that when, for example, when we're running, we know we have to go on a 12-mile run.
Yes.
Running the same loop over and over again gives too many opportunities for wussing out. It's much better to run out 6 miles and then we have to run back.
Run way back, that's true.
How we're going to get home, we run.
We run.
I'm hungry, so let's run.
That's true. We will get there faster if we move.
If we run.
That's true.
Whereas running 24 times up and down the street, that would be brutal.
That's true.
So I think part of sustainability is to put ourselves in a position where we don't have a choice but to sustain the effort. How does one actually learn how to swim? Into the water you go.
That's true.
There's something to be said for that.
That's true.